What's up, everybody? This is Big Sarge back with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the 12 M MOS, also known as the Army Firefighter. So let's get into it. All right, so you probably heard of firefighters in your local town or city, and those are the brave men and women who respond to emergencies, put out fires, save lives, and rescue cats that are stuck in trees. But did you know the U.S. Army has its own firefighters as well? That's right. The Army has a dedicated MOS towards firefighting, and it's called 12 Mike. And while it might not be as widely talked about as combat infantry or helicopter pilots, this job is just as vital, especially when it comes to protecting Army personnel, equipment, and installations. So if you ever thought about joining the military and becoming a firefighter at the same time, then this video is going to be your go-to guide. I'm going to break down exactly what the 12 Mike MOS is, what it involves, what training you'll go through, and what your career can look like both inside and outside of the Army. So let's go. All right, so exactly what does a firefighter in the Army actually do? Well, a firefighter in the Army, they do many things that civilian firefighters do, but in a military environment. That means they fight structural fires on Army installations, they respond to aircraft emergencies on airfields, they perform search and rescue missions, they operate fire trucks, pumps, hoses, and other firefighting equipment, they handle hazardous material incidents, they provide emergency medical care until medics arrive, and they participate in fire prevention and safety inspections. So in short, if something catches fire, explodes, or leaks something dangerous, then the Army firefighter is who you want on the scene. But because it's the Army, you're not just responding to fires in the neighborhood, you might be responding to emergencies on airfields, fuel storage facilities, chemical depots, or even during deployments in hostile environments, because there's a unique military spin on everything. All right, so let's go over the day-to-day life of a 12 Mike firefighter. So you might imagine every day being full of action where you're racing down the road in a fire truck, sirens blaring, but let's go ahead and keep it real. Emergencies aren't always happening every single minute of the day. So a typical day for a 12 Mike might involve the following. So you're going to wake up in the morning and do some physical fitness to stay in shape. You're going to inspect fire equipment and vehicles. You're going to conduct fire drills and safety training. And you're going to be standing by at airfields during takeoffs and landings. You're going to perform maintenance and admin duties. You're going to be reviewing emergency response plans. And you're going to be attending continued education or certification courses. Now, when an emergency does happen, you're going to be out the door in seconds, suited up and doing the job that you were trained for, whether it's for a fuel fire, a burning barracks, or a training accident that's gone wrong. You're the one that's going to be helping to keep the people safe. All right, so our next question is, where do 12 Mikes actually work? Well, as a 12 Mike, you're going to be stationed at Army installations all over the world, but especially where there are airfields, aircraft, ammunition storage, and hazardous material operations. And some common duty stations include the following. So you might find yourself at Fort Rucker in Alabama, Fort Bragg out there in North Carolina, Fort Hood out there in Texas, or some Army airfields in Germany, South Korea, Italy, or the Middle East. And you may also be deployed to combat zones or support areas during missions. And yes, just like civilian firefighters, you may be on 24-hour shifts, especially if you're stationed at a fire station on base. Exactly what type of training does a 12 Mike go through? Well, you're going to go through 10 weeks of basic training. So before anything else, you're going to get shipped off to basic training, which lasts about 10 weeks. And this is where you're going to learn how to shoot, move, and communicate and survive as a soldier. So whether you're a cook or a combat medic, everyone starts there. Then after that, you're going to get shipped off to AIT, or Advanced Individual Training, for 13 weeks. And they're going to send you to a place called Goodfellow Air Force Base out in San Angelo, Texas. And while you're there, you're going to attend the DoD Fire Academy, or the Department of Defense Fire Academy, where you'll earn nationally recognized certifications, including Firefighter 1 and 2, Hazardous Materials Awareness and Operations, Airport Firefighter, and the Emergency Medical Responder. And you'll also learn how to put out aircraft fires using foam and dry chemical agents. You'll learn how to use self-contained breathing apparatus, and you'll learn how to respond to hazardous material spills, in addition to learning how to carry out search and rescue missions in burning buildings and how to handle emergency medical scenarios. Now, all of this training is going to be intense, hands-on, and designated to prepare you for any fire emergency that you might face, whether you're in the military or you're a civilian. Now let's talk about some of the certifications that you can earn. So one of the biggest perks of being a 12 Mike is you can earn nationally recognized certifications that you can take with you into the civilian world. And these include the IFSAC, or the Pro Board Firefighter 1 and 2, The hazmat technician, the airport firefighter, and the EMR are the emergency medical responder. Now, these certifications are gold if you ever want to become a civilian firefighter. And many fire departments, they require or prefer applicants who are already certified, and you'll already have a leg up against your civilian counterparts. All right, so let's talk about the requirements to become a 12 mic. So before you sign that contract, here's what the Army requires for you to become a firefighter. First thing you got to do, you got to score an ASVAB score of 91 on the general maintenance segment. You have to be a U.S. citizen. You have to be eligible to get a secret clearance due to you working around sensitive areas like airfields and ammo depots. You got to meet physical demands because you're going to be lifting moderate to heavy equipment. You got to have normal color vision, which means you cannot be colorblind because you need to see indicator lights and color-coded gauges, and you cannot have a history of claustrophobia or panic attacks. And you're also going to need to be in great physical shape. You're going to need to be comfortable in high-stress situations. You need to be able to work as part of a team because firefighting is not a solo job. This is about trust and coordination. All right, so let's move on to talk about the pros of becoming a 12 mic in the Army. So why would you want to become a 12 mic? Well, there are valuable civilian skills that you can earn. Everything that you learn as a 12 mic can be directly applied to civilian firefighting. And many Army firefighters, they transition smoothly into jobs with municipal fire departments, airport fire services, or industrial firefighting units. It also provides high stakes and high impact work. So if you're drawn to adrenaline, saving lives, and doing something that truly matters, then this job can literally bring the heat. There are also prestigious certifications. So as I mentioned earlier, you can leave AIT with nationally recognized credentials. That means you're not just trained, but you're certified to work in many places immediately after your service. There's also worldwide travel and experience. So you can be stationed anywhere from Texas to Germany to South Korea. And when emergencies happen abroad, you might be a part of the response. Then there's the close-knit firehouse culture. So firefighters, whether they're military or civilian, they often form tight bonds. So you're going to live, work, and respond to crisis together. Many say that the firehouse is essentially their second family. Now, to keep it balanced, we got to talk about the downsides because no job is perfect. And one downside is it's not always in demand. So compared to infantry or mechanics, there are fewer 12 mic slots in the Army. That means it's competitive and not always easy to get assigned to. There's going to be some long hours and unusual shifts. So firefighting often means long or irregular shifts like 24 hours on and 48 hours off. And you'll have to be on alert even when you'd rather be relaxing. You're going to find yourself in high stress situations. So fires and emergencies, they don't care about your comfort. You're going to face heat, smoke, chemicals, crashes, explosions, you name it. And there's also going to be limited deployments. So some 12 mics feel like they don't deploy as often as combat troops and miss out on some of the action that comes with other MOS roles. Now, on the flip side, others prefer not to deploy. All right, so let's move on and talk about some civilian career opportunities after the Army. So one of the biggest advantages of being a 12 mic is the transition potential. So when you leave the Army, your resume will stand out. And some possible careers include the following. You could be a municipal firefighter for the city or county fire departments. You could find yourself working as an airport firefighter at the FAA or a private airport. You could be an industrial firefighter where you could be working on oil refineries, chemical plants, and factories. You could be a fire inspector or a fire marshal. You could be an EMT. You could be a disaster response specialist for FEMA or Red Cross. And you could possibly find yourself as a wildland firefighter working for the U.S. Forest Service. And with your military background, leadership skills, and certifications, you'll often jump to the front of the line for firefighter jobs, especially in cities that give preference to veterans. So exactly what type of person would make a great 12 mic? Well, this MOS isn't for everyone, but if you're any of the following, then you're going to be successful. You got to be physically fit and mentally tough. You got to be able to remain calm under pressure. You got to be team oriented. You have to be mechanically inclined. You have to be detail oriented and safety minded. You have to be drawn to emergency services or first responder careers. So if you're the type of person who runs towards danger while others run away, then this could be your calling. And let's go ahead and cover some FAQs about the 12 mic MOS. And the first question people typically ask is, can women be Army firefighters? The answer is yes. And many women that do serve successfully as 12 mics in the Army. The next question is, do 12 mics go to combat? While this is not a combat MOS, 12 mics, they can deploy to combat zones, especially to protect airfields or provide emergency services in forward operating bases. And another question people tend to ask is, can I reclass a 12 mic from another MOS? And the answer is yes, assuming you meet the qualifications in terms of your ASVAB score, physical requirements, and your ability to get a security clearance. If you can do all of that, then you can reclass to become an Army firefighter from another MOS. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So if you're passionate about firefighting, you want a meaningful career that makes a difference, and you're drawn to the structure and benefits of military life, then the 12 mic MOS might be the perfect path for you. It's a physically demanding, mentally challenging, and emotionally rewarding job that gives you real world skills, a lifelong brotherhood, and a clear career path. So whether you serve for 4 years or 20, you're going to walk away with experience that saves lives, and that's something worth being proud of. So if you're ready to wear the uniform and the helmet, go ahead and get in touch with your recruiter, study for that ASVAB, and start your journey towards becoming one of the Army's elite emergency responders.